It'll be Matt Veneto for Vermont in the road green, the evergreen, and it'll be Yao Obeng-Mensah for UMBC in the center circle. UMBC and Vermont have played each other 3 out of the last 4 America East Conference Championship games. Last year was a blowout for the Catamounts, 82-43 the final. Vermont winning 2 out of the last 3 against UMBC in the conference tournament. UMBC comes in. They had a 6-game winning streak snapped at Maryland. Vermont has struggled. They had a 4-game losing streak, a 4-game winning streak, though, to get to be 6-8. And right off the bat, it's Matt Veneto, the grad forward, the transfer from Delaware, giving Vermont a 3-0 lead.
And Matt Veneto coming in as their center, but they really do not have much of a post game this year. You'll see him shoot a lot of threes, and he starts off the game with one.
Colton Lawrence inside with steps. A turnover for UMBC on their first possession here. It'll be Vermont basketball. Some of the names from Vermont very familiar to fans, including Robin Duncan, the last of the great Duncans. We'll talk about him during the broadcast. Of course, Aaron Deloney, who we mentioned in the open. But 7 new transfers, Rick, for a team that historically has not been much for transfers.
We've talked about the transfer portal and what it means for college basketball. It's infecting all teams, including this Vermont team.
Meanwhile, UMBC with 10 new players, but not that one. Yao Obeng-Mensah from the corner was here last year, and he puts up the first 2 for UMBC.
Yao Obeng-Mensah had a tough time getting back to practice with some personal issues going on during the holidays. Had a tough time, didn't get to play much at Maryland because of that. Starts the game off with a nice jumper, and for his confidence, that's got to be great.
3-2 the score early for Vermont, up and under again, Veneto. Veneto with all 5 for Vermont right now. Hasn't played in 3 years. What a story he is. Played freshman year at Delaware, transferred to UConn, didn't play there as Obeng-Mensah throws it away, but it's tipped out of bounds by Veneto. It'll be UMBC basketball with 19 to shoot.
We talked a little bit at the open about Vermont's lack of inside game. This is a whole different team for Coach Becker. They've dominated UMBC in the paint in the past. Right now, they don't have much of a post presence. They'll be playing 5 out just like UMBC and trying to attack off the dribble.
Jacob Bunyasith, the senior guard. Now over to Lawrence. The transfer from Bentley leads the team in scoring, better than 13 per game. Inside for Obeng-Mensah, a lot of traffic. Ball is tipped away and finally into the hands of Finn Sullivan. Sullivan, a transfer himself, 5th year out of University of San Diego. What a journey that is, Rick, from the beaches of San Diego to the snowbanks of Burlington.
Well, you must love winning, because that's what they do when they go to Vermont. They win.
So true. 6 consecutive America East Conference championships for the Catamounts. Baseline, here's Dylan Penn, a transfer from Bellarmine. A little floater along the lane is no good. Good defense by Obeng-Mensah. Rebound Doles on the weak side. Botuan opens up from 3. This one is short. A box out for Penn. It'll be Obeng-Mensah, a foul over the back.
You can see early in the game that Vermont's really playing chest to chest with UMBC outside that 3-point lane. They know that UMBC is a really good 3-point shooting team, and that defensively, the way to beat a team like that is to get on them chest to chest all the way out there past the 3.
Early substitution now for UMBC. There he is, Dion Brown, the sensational freshman from Great Barrington, Massachusetts, at the 17:32 mark here in the first half as Obeng-Mensah sits down for UMBC.
Folks new to the broadcast need to keep an eye on this kid. He's got a complete game. He can shoot, he can defend. He's got great instinct for this game. As a freshman, he's one that UMBC can count on down the stretch in this game for sure.
Sullivan with the basketball. Up top now for Cam Gibson, transfer from Western Carolina. And Gibson penetrates towards the lane, and Brown picks up the foul.
As I just talked good things about him, he overcommits on that pump fake and gets some body on the defender and gets his first foul. Again, he'll learn to stay down on that pump fake and get a good position.
First foul on Brown, second on the team. The score is Vermont 5, UMBC 2 here early on with 17:05 left in the first half. Cross-court pass for Penn, a 3-pointer, not his game. Air ball, as you can tell. Rebound UMBC. Lawrence with a drive to the basket. Met up with a double team. Botuan, quick first step. And you're right, Rick, that chest-up defense by Vermont, right on it against UMBC. Here's Doles taking. They get some help here from Penn. 9 to shoot. Brown tries to penetrate from the wing, and it'll be a foul on Dylan Penn.
Yeah, similar to what he was beat up on the other end of the court. He, again, pump fakes and got to drive into the basket and got the foul.
Dylan Penn, first foul. There's Jim Ferry, head coach at UMBC, 18-14 last year. Got his team to the conference championship, 9-5. Tremendous success in the non-conference season. Really loves this team, this group of guys. And now a foul in the corner. Lawrence fouled by Sullivan. Team foul number 2 on Vermont.
I'm sure UMBC wants to try to go to Colton Lawrence a little bit. Had a kind of a tougher game against Maryland. Coach Becker trying to get, again, his next win will tie Tom Brennan all-time at Vermont. Something that we talked to him the other day. He has so much respect for Coach Brennan.
Can't really do much better than what John Becker has done here at Vermont in his 11 seasons. 9 conference championships. Of course, the NCAA tournaments that go with that. Three-pointer launched up by Bunyasith is too strong. The rebound comes down to Aaron Deloney, who's now in the basketball game. He's got the ball. Nice feet underneath. And the finish by Veneto, who's got 7. And Vermont leads it by 7. It's 9-2.
Aaron Deloney is the spark plug coming off the bench. He's a scorer, but he can also make players better. And there you go, a great dish down to Vereto for the slam dunk.
Lawrence double team. Here's Doles now. Little floater put up by Jarvis Doles, and that's part of his game, Rick. He can hit that from about 12 to 15.
Again, he has kind of a slight frame, but he gets a little body on him, nudges defender off, and fades away. We saw him working on that in practice. He's got a great soft touch. Great finish by Doles.
A 9-4 is the score. And now a turnover here against Vermont. A traveling is called and a timeout on the floor. We'll take it 2 with 15:37 to go. Getting underway here in the new year. Back after this.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
Take a picture.
I'm stuck!
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
Tatum step back three.
What a journey it's been for this Vermont team from Burlington. Rick, as you know, they traveled all over the country to play games, and then they couldn't travel to Miami to play the Hurricanes.
Yeah, they spent 21 nights away from home, and then their final preseason tune-up before the conference play, they were going to Miami. Half the team, because of the snowstorms up north, half the team got to Miami, half the team was still in Vermont. They couldn't get down. They had all the uniforms up in Vermont. They couldn't get there. Take a look at this great play. Deloney comes in the game, dishes down to Vereto. He scores 7 points. The score right now is Vermont 7, UMBC 4. Vereto has all 7.
What a great start for Matt Vereto, the transfer from Delaware, hasn't played in 3 years. Brings a unique game to Vermont, according to head coach John Becker. Skilled, tough, high energy. Originally recruited by John Becker to Vermont, decided not to go to the Catamounts, went to the Blue Hens out in Delaware, but eventually made his way back.
You think Coach Becker's happy about that?
I think right now he is, absolutely.
They've gotten off to a really good start. Again, defensively, they're really up on UMBC. And then those great defensive stances are leading to transitions, which we saw in that last slam dunk bucket.
7-4 is the score. Matteo Piccarelli has checked in, the three-point marksman for UMBC, one of the tops in the country, the top performer in the America East. Beautoin, the transfer from Cleveland State, dishes for Doles inside, leaves the floater up and in, and it's a 1-point game.
Great penetration by Beautoin. Dishes off to Doles. We talked about that soft, feathery touch of his for the finish.
Love Beautoin's acceleration towards the basket. That's what Jim Ferry said. He is the perfect point guard for this team. Here's Deloney off the bench. Cam Gibson setting up outside, off glass and in from 3.
It's Sunday. The banks aren't open on Sunday. That was pure luck. He smiled after he let that thing go.
Not only are they not open, and not only are they not open on Sunday, they're not open on New Year's Day. So it's a double whammy. That one should be worth 6. Piccarelli gives up the shot for Brown, launches from 3. Weak side rebound for Beautoin, and he loses it out of bounds. It'll be Vermont ball.
We didn't complete that story about their travel issues going to Miami. That Miami game was canceled because they couldn't get their uniforms, couldn't get their team there. But they did get to come into Baltimore much earlier. They got here on the 20th of December. They've been practicing here 4 straight days, all focused on this UMBC game, and it's showing off so far early.
And because of their earlier travel schedule, going around the country, California, all these places to play, they had never been able to practice 4 days in a row.
Right.
Robin Duncan along the baseline, double from Doles and Beautoin. Cross court for Deloney, and Deloney a right corner jumper from 3. It's Vermont by 7, 13-6.
Great penetration by Duncan and a nice wing pass outside of Deloney for a long 3.
His 29th three-pointer of the campaign. Doles leaves it short. Good defense by Vermont. Here comes Duncan now. Duncan and Sullivan will share point guard duties, but it's interesting because Duncan actually plays the 4. And now underneath, it's Iliri Ifaloeye.
Let's take a look at that last basket. Nice kick out on the baseline to Deloney for a 3. That kid, again, he's a shooter. He can come in and fill it up. He's a playmaker, but he loves to jack that 3 up when he gets in the game.
He's got a 3-pointer and a dime in this game. Ifaloeye is a transfer from Rhode Island University. He's at the free throw line right now. Substitutions now. Duncan will check out of the game. Cam Gibson checks out as well. TJ Hurley, a freshman guard. They love him, from Pelham, Ontario. 6'5", averaging about 6 points a game and 16 minutes a game, is checked in. Ifaloeye hits both free throws. He'll come out of the game. And checking in is Perry Smith Jr., a freshman from Augusta, Georgia. Won a national championship in high school for Legacy Early College High. A very highly touted player. And right now, Vermont leading it by 9. It's interesting, we were talking to John Becker a couple days back, and he said, for the first time, maybe ever for him, he can actually play the underdog card with his team, because most people feel around the America East that this could be a team in transition, but we're not seeing that here early in this game right now.
I think it's because, again, we talked about their lack of inside presence that they've always had in the past. I think is what the most teams are thinking about. This is a different team.
Trayvon Fagan is checked into the game from Brown, and Fagan, the transfer from Buffalo, puts up a pair as they tested that interior defense right away. Vermont by 7 now, coming up on 13 minutes left in the half. Sam Alamutu has checked in. A redshirt freshman from Ajax, Ontario. 10 to shoot. Cross-court feed. Alamutu with a drive off glass. Initiates contact with Brown, and they'll count it.
Yeah, Vermont's points in the paint are not coming from your traditional post plays that they've had in the past. They are dribble penetration, and there's a nice kick to Alamutu.
And Piccarelli with a penetration on the right-hand side, and he'll go to the line for UMBC.
Let's watch Alamutu. Again, Alamutu going to the basket after getting the pass from Sullivan and a nice finish. Again, that's where they're going to find their post points with this team. It's not a traditional post-up game that they've had in the past. It'll be dribble penetration and kick to cutters, or, again, maybe backing down a player or two.
Piccarelli, 22 minutes per game. 78% free throw shooter, one of the top 3-point shooters in the country. UMBC just a shade under 10 per game, one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the country. Piccarelli, a junior from Milan, Italy, has 5 games this year of 5 or more 3-pointers, and both free throws here are good. It's a 7-point game, 12:40 left. Vermont from right to left. And a steal by Botuan to the basket. Botuan layup is good.
Great hands, and we talked about this all season long with this UMBC team. Botuan's so quick and so aggressive on the defensive end. Gets a steal and lays it in.
It's a 5-point game. Alamutu with Brown. And Botuan after the deflection by Picarelli. Colton Lawrence catch and shoot from 3 off rim and glass. Rebound, Alamutu.
Really would like to see that going down for Lawrence. He struggled the other night against Maryland. He's looking for a shooting touch. He needs to see one go down to get that confidence back.
Deloney, blocked by Botuan. Picked up by Hurley in the corner. 3 ball from Deloney is too strong. Rebound Fagan, the rebounding machine. Averaging 7 per game and only 15 minutes per game. Lawrence with a take. Lawrence to the basket. Lawrence lays it home. It's a 3-point game.
There's what we're talking about. He just see one go down, decided to give up the 3, drive to the basket. I thought he was going to tomahawk that dunk, laid it in soft with 2 guys coming right at him. Great finish.
First 2 for Lawrence. Perhaps a confidence builder for the 5th-year player. Here's Smith with Lawrence. Matchup situation. Lawrence thought he got all ball, but a foul called on Colton Lawrence. We'll take a timeout here. 11:16 left to go. Colton Lawrence with a big 2 for UMBC. It's a 3-point game.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
The old adage in basketball, sometimes your defense creates your offense. Let's take a look at that example from UMBC a moment ago.
Yeah, Botuan, 3 straight possessions. He makes an impact play, gets a block there, and then down the floor, over to Lawrence for the penetration and the lay-in. Again, we talked about Colton Lawrence having a rough game against Maryland. Needed to see one go down. There it was. You saw the energy after that for him. We thought coming into it, we didn't feel like he had the kind of the energy he should have had that we've seen before. I think, again, seeing one go down, he'll continue attack. I like to see him knock down one of those 3s, and then I think he'll be back.
Jim Ferry addressing his team on the bench at the timeout. I thought he had some interesting comments, Jim did, after the Maryland game, a game where they were in there the whole way, basically trailing by 2 with 13 minutes to go. He said, look, we may have lost by 16, but we got better. We got better after that game against the University of Maryland.
It wasn't about effort. They played really hard. They could have played better. There were some mistakes, I think, in the second half in the paint defensively they could have improved on. But I think as far as an effort standpoint, they weren't scared of that team. They played hard. They could have come away with a win in that game if they had played the right way.
3-pointer in the corner, the launch, and in goes Cam Gibson, the transfer from Western Carolina. And Gibson now with the 4th 3-pointer for Vermont today. Retrievers, by the way, are 0 for 4. They're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league, in the country. Vermont leads it by 6.
And I think I attest that to Vermont's aggressive defense. You can see right now they're all inside those UMBC offensive players outside the 3-point range. They're not giving them any room at all.
Picarelli way downtown. And good box out here by Sullivan in front of Fagan. Here's Duncan the other way. We mentioned the last of the great Duncan.
He'll try to back down. That's what he likes to do. Fagan with the help side defense and the block.
Piccarelli way downtown, short. Long rebound, comes down to Beautoine. Lawrence open from three. The lid is on the basket. And this will stay with UMBC. Great hustle by Dion Brown. They say it's going to be off of Matt Veretto. Take a look at the three-point graphic between these two teams. It's been UMBC that has been the better shooting team over the course of time, but not today.
Yeah, but also UMBC gives up the three, right? So I think they're averaging 40% on the opponent three-point shooting, and we're seeing that today from Vermont. They're not covering the three, UMBC.
Lawrence inside, leaves it for Piccarelli. That is short. Veretto, who's back in the game, the rebound for the Catamounts. Less than 10 minutes now to play in the first half. Robin Duncan, the third of the three great Duncans. There has been a Duncan on a Vermont roster for 9 straight years. Today, this season will be the last. His brothers, Ernie and Everett, before him. And this one over the stanchion off the hand of Veretto. It'll be UMBC basketball with 9:39 left.
I think that was a heat check for Veretto. He's been really hot all game long so far, and they thought he pulled one a little probably further and quicker than he wanted to.
Bunyasith checks in. Devin Sapp, the transfer from City College of San Francisco, checks in. Meanwhile, Brown sits down along with Piccarelli.
We've not seen Devin Sapp play much in the last few games, so it's an interesting substitution, possibly with not making some of these threes. He is a good three-point shooter. Maybe see if he can get going.
Lawrence with a spin move inside the lane. Look at the defense from Veretto. Little hesitation from Lawrence. It won't go. Looking for a foul. No call. Here comes Deloney. The kick out for Veretto. Now Gibson ball fake. Deloney got caught underneath. Here's Fagan. Leaves it for Sapp from three. This one is too strong. Offensive rebound, Fagan. Fagan, the putback goes. It's a 4-point game.
Fagan, again, we talked about his offensive rebounding prowess. There he is, pounding the boards, and with the finish. He's just Mr. Reliable. He's always around the ball on the offensive rebounds.
Sullivan for three off rim and glass. Fagan's 5th rebound in 5 minutes for UMBC. Beautoine all the way to the basket. Won't go. Sapp underneath. Very strong, and that's why they want Devin Sapp in there.
Every time we've seen him in the game, the kid plays really hard and is aggressive. Again, kind of short in stature, but he's also kind of tough. There's a shot by Sapp who misses it. Fagan in the right place, right time, and finishes over 2 Catamounts.
Fagan, 5 minutes, 4 points, 5 rebounds, and a block.
Back to Sapp. Yeah, that's kind of what they like. He's aggressive. He's gritty. He goes after a lot of the 50-50 balls. You can see that on an offensive rebound. He can shoot the ball. Missed his first shot, but let's see if he can get another one in.
You could probably need a guy like Sapp in a game like this. Bunyasith, bounce pass for Beautoine. Lawrence posts up, corner three, got it. First of the afternoon for UMBC.
There you go. The kid's head was down a little bit before that shot. Let's see if that can get him going. He is the leading scorer on this team. He's got to get his mojo going. We saw a good shot there and a good finish.
It's a 1-point game here with 8 minutes to go. High off glass, it won't go. Rebound. Veretto won't go. Sapp for UMBC. Bunyasith yet to score. Bunyasith. Duncan the rebound.
Those haven't watched a lot of UMBC basketball. That's what UMBC wants to do. They want to move that ball and get the first shot they've got, whether it's a 3, a 2, and you can see Bunyasith with a quick shot in the shot clock.
Sullivan over Doles for 3, and that quiets the crowd.
Sullivan is a player that's got a lot of potential. Coach Becker thinks he could be player of the year in this conference, or he could be not a very good player in this conference. He's struggled so far early in the season. Coach Becker thinks he's got a great game, and we'll see a great rest of the season from this kid.
First 3 this afternoon for Sullivan. Lawrence denied at the rim, and Duncan takes it away from Sapp. What about this physical play between these two teams? Veretto in the corner with a hand in his face, and he knocks it down. Matt Veretto with 10 early on. It's back to a 7-point lead.
Veretto had 4 3-pointers against Colgate. He's matching that now. He's looking to take care of this Vermont offense from the 3-point range.
Beautoine with 15 to shoot. What a pace here in the first 13 minutes of the game. Bunyasith with a step back. thought about it. Doles high post working with Veretto. And Doles leaves it short, a little bit out of his range. Well, I say that, but he likes to shoot from out there. There's Penn all the way to the basket. And the layup is good. And a timeout called by UMBC.
UMBC late in the shot clock, not getting anything good. Doles had to force a shot between two guys, and that led to a fast break for Vermont. You see it here, to the basket. Penn with the finish.
Largest lead of the afternoon for the Catamounts by 9.
Thompson is now the leader in career points.
Eleanor Purrier with her first title at the mile distance.
Sorrentine from the parking lot. And the Black Bears upset Stanford. Shock and awe. In college basketball, UMBC makes history.
Every time you order a hot sub from Jersey Mike's, it's grilled fresh right in front of you. The sizzling, the chopping, the spatula. That's why I bring this. I call it dinner and a show. Look at that sizzle.
Number 17 for Danny.
Oh, that's mine. Gotta go, Aaron. Grilled right in front of you. It's a Jersey Mike's thing. A sub above.
Well, these young men here have been traveling the country playing college basketball, Rick. As you know, this is their 12th road game in 15 today. But what a defensive performance by this team.
Yeah, take a look at Ayala coming in there with a block on Colton Lawrence. Leads to another three by Veretto. Veretto's got 10 points, 2 for 3 from three-point range. He's gotten a hot hand early, Gary.
The Catamounts from Vermont come in at 6-8 on the campaign. They had a 4-game winning streak snapped at home against Toledo. That is a really good Toledo squad. And UMBC came in at 9-5. They had a 6-game winning streak snapped at the University of Maryland this past Wednesday night.
We talked about Vermont's lack of inside presence. We've not seen this Ayala play yet this year. He's not played much. It looks like Coach Becker's saying, look, you know what? We've got to get bigger inside. Let's give this kid a shot. And he's performed very well so far in the game.
Ayala wearing number 0 for Vermont, matched up with Fagan for UMBC at the moment. UMBC basketball under the hoop. Deion Brown back in the game, working on Dylan Penn. Little step back on the baseline. Good defense. Fagan now draws the double. Fagan off glass. And the tip-in goes for Deion Brown.
We talked about Deion Brown's game. It's all around. He can shoot the three, can penetrate. The guy just hustles all over the court. He's very athletic. And you can see with the putback there. Again, not giving up on the play. He attacked the basket.
Brown missed the first 10 games of the year. Has played in the last 4, averaging 11 points per game.
Let's take a look at what he does here. Again, his defender doesn't lose him. Does not box out, does not see him. Brown sees that as an advantage and gets to the basket to lay it in.
Substitutions for UMBC. Lawrence sits down. There's a look at Deion Brown. Mason Docks, the freshman guard from East Lansing, Michigan, has checked into the game. So they've got Docks and Beautoin, the 2 point guards, in at the same time. There's Ayala giving over to Deloney. He'll pop from 3. That one is too strong. Beautoin on the rebound. Brown leaves it for Fagan. Inside for Fagan again. Little floater right hand goes for Trayvon Fagan. He's got 6 off the bench.
There's that little jump hook we were at practice the other day, right? I was talking to Doles about little jump hook. Instead of squaring up and showing him the ball, jump over with his right hand. Fagan knew exactly where he had his man and could finish.
Sullivan working on Dox. Help from Fagan. Iofalea left alone underneath as Fagan came out on the ball handler, and a foul called on UMBC. Looks like it'll be on the help. Looks like it'll be on Bunyasin.
At the line, shoot 2, Aliri Iofalea.
Iofalea will go to the line for the second time this afternoon. Transfer from Rhode Island.
He's only averaging almost 4.4 minutes per game, so he really has not had an opportunity to play much this season. Only played in 6 games so far for Vermont, but again, has come in and shown a presence both on the offensive end as well as defensively. We saw in that block with Colton Lawrence trying to dunk it.
Averaging 2 points and 1 rebound per game. He already has 4 points all from the line this afternoon. It's a 6-point lead for the Catamounts. And they'll go with some substitutions as Iofalea sits down.
And Perry Smith Jr. comes in the game. Again, the other kind of post presence that they have on this team. So they're trying to stay big against some of these UMBC bigger players.
Now Fagan with Smith. Dion Brown, little floater in the lane is short. Brown follows his own miss. Dox looking to create. Dox was the AP Division II Michigan High School Player of the Year last year. Fagan leaves it short, battling with Smith, and Smith pulls it down for Vermont. Robin Duncan at the controls. A natural point guard playing the 4 this year, and this time some miscommunication as Duncan throws it to the sideline, but Cam Gibson was making a beeline towards the basket.
We highlighted what a three-point shooting team that UMBC is. Right now they're 1 for 10. They're just not getting clean looks. We talked about Vermont's defense just spreading it out, getting chest to chest, not giving really easy looks for UMBC early in this game.
Retrievers averaging just shy under 10 made three-pointers per game, and they've got 1 here in the first 17 minutes. Otwan for 3, that is too strong. Smith with the rebound in front of Brown.
And the threes that UMBC's taken are probably 2 or 3 feet beyond where they traditionally want to shoot the ball. They're just too far out because they're being pressed on it.
Deloney with a dime to Smith, and Smith lays it home. It's back to a 9-point lead for the Catamounts.
Dribble penetration for Vermont, effective. They can drop it down to their bigs for an easy lay-in by Smith.
Otwan left open from 3. This one goes. Second make for UMBC today.
And probably the clearest shot that UMBC's had in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
You know, one of the reasons why the Retrievers are taking longer threes is because Vermont's defense is out there. Here comes Smith. Inside, they left him alone. Brown too late.
Yeah, nice roll to the basket by Smith. Recognized that and got the drop.
.245 left in the half. Piccarelli back in the game for UMBC. Otwan from the wing. Piccarelli catch and shoot. Nails it. His first 3 this afternoon.
That's a great shot for Piccarelli, but that was not clean. The defender was all over him. He was fading away as he was making that shot. Terrific finish.
Piccarelli with 5 today. He's got 2 free throws and a 3-pointer. And now John Becker wants a timeout here with 2:23 left in the half. The Catamounts lead the Dogs 34-29 is the score. Matteo Piccarelli just came off the bench and knocked down a big one for UMBC.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
Capitals, Blue Jackets, Thursday on ESPN.
Update from the America East as far as the non-conference play is concerned. There you have it. The America East posted 3 wins over ACC teams this season. UMass Lowell, how about the Riverhawks? 12-2 in non-conference play, and they won again last night. We'll tell you about that a little later over NJIT. And an early conference matchup on ESPNU. It'll be Bryant and Vermont from Burlington on Thursday night. And that is your update, courtesy of Jersey Mike's here from the America East.
We talked about this American East with Vermont being the top seed going into the preseason poll, and talking to Coach Becker, he thinks a lot of these teams are salivating, thinking that Vermont might be beatable this year. This is certainly a true test. I'm sure all eyes are on this game today in the conference to see kind of how these two teams match up. Again, we talked about Vermont having to play differently. They don't have the post inside presence. See a lot of dribble penetration, dishing off for post points that way. It'll be interesting to see how this team plays the rest of this game and this season, sort of in a new way.
One thing that Vermont has, they may not have the same guys they had last year. Ryan Davis gone, Ben Shungu gone. But they've got a name, they've got a reputation, and they've got a tradition. There's no doubt about it. And they also have Dylan Penn, the transfer from Bellarmine, with a little turnaround in the lane to give them a 7-point lead.
He scored 16.6 points per game at Bellarmine. Had the ball in his hands a ton. He knows how to play. He knows how to finish when he gets the ball in his hands.
Averaging 12 off ball this year for Vermont. Mason Docks inside the lane. That one is short. Rebound comes down to Penn. Vermont looks to run. Penn led Bellarmine to the ASUN championship last year, but in the transition from Division II to 1, Bellarmine was not able to qualify for the tournament. Deloney with the kick out for Duncan with Piccarelli on him, 10 to shoot. Now 5 to shoot. Deloney going to take it on his own. Deloney off the top of the backboard, and it is a shot clock violation as it didn't hit the rim.
I think UMBC got away with one there. Piccarelli came out on that desperation heave 3 and actually undercut Deloney. I think there could have been a foul there. The official did not blow the whistle.
Jim Ferry will take it with 1:21 left. The Retrievers trail it by 7. Yao Obeng-Mensah back in the game for UMBC. Dion Brown also. Obeng-Mensah will turn around. Little 15-footer is no good. Veretto and Brown, and it looks like Robin Duncan pulls it away. Inside for Sullivan. Beats his man down, but can't finish at the rim. Docks. Botuan. Obeng-Mensah off glass and in.
UMBC prior to that play only had 2 fast break points. That's what UMBC needs to do. They need to push the pace. If Vermont's going to cover their threes, they need to get up and down the court much quicker, get easier baskets.
See if Vermont goes 2 for 1 here. Penn with Brown. Obeng-Mensah helps. They leave Veretto open from 3. This one is high off the rim. Rebound to Obeng-Mensah. 2-second differential here. Game clock, shot clock. And UMBC will play for basically the last shot. Trailing by 5. The Retrievers only 3 for 13 from deep. Obeng-Mensah is fouled outside the 3-point line by Veretto. And that'll be his first foul, 6th on the team. Substitutions, Docks will sit down, Obeng-Mensah will sit down. Doles and Bunyasith check in for the Retrievers. Io Falea is back in for Vermont. There's Botuan to the basket. And this one's going to be over the backboard off of UMBC. Botuan was stripped by Io Falea.
That's interesting. You don't see that every day.
Except on the first day of the year.
Yeah, there you go.
No, you're totally right.
It looked like 3 guys are up there trying to trap that, and the official made a quick call.
How will they ever get that ball? There you go.
Craig Botuan knows what he's doing.
Yeah, you need a point guard to do that. You know?
Yeah.
Figure out how to unentangle the ball.
UMBC just doesn't want to foul here. Just sort of let this thing get inbounded and let this half finish up. There you go.
Well, it's quite a basketball game. Vermont, under head coach John Becker, the road-weary Catamounts come into Botuan and Fagan combined about 35 points and 20 rebounds per game. You see the big, like you say, Rick, impact that the portal had on UMBC this year. 10 newcomers for the Retrievers this year, 7 newcomers for Vermont. And Lawrence, right off the bat, on a feed from Bunyasith, can't get it to go. And here comes Dylan Penn the other way for Vermont. And he's tied up underneath by Bunyasith. It'll be a foul called on UMBC.
I think UMBC drew that play up for Lawrence to try to get him going. The play was designed for him to finish. Great defensive play on the Vermont end, which led to, again, fast break opportunity for them, which is what UMBC needs to do on the offensive end.
That is the first personal on Bunyasith here in the game. First on the team in the second half. Starting 5 for Vermont: Penn, Sullivan, Duncan, Gibson, and Veretto. For UMBC, Piccarelli now in the starting second half lineup. And this time it's Robin Duncan with his first basket this afternoon.
We talked about the traditional post play, and that's not what they do. Robin Duncan backs smaller defenders into the paint to where he can score over them. It was just a great example there. Good call on the Vermont end.
Duncan, who's playing the 4 this year, is the 5th leading rebounder and the 7th leading assist maker in the conference, averaging only about 6 points per game. Bunyasith ball fake now, and he is fouled as he enters the lane.
You saw in the offensive end there for UMBC, they did move the ball from one side to the other. I still think it's got to be a little more crisper. It seems like the ball's being held just a little bit too longer. I know Coach Ferry loves to have them move the ball quick, slip screens, and push.
Now another foul here on the inbound. Looks like Gibson was trailing Piccarelli. And that'll be on Cam Gibson.
That's an unfortunate call for UMBC because they had a great play lined up for an easy layup for Piccarelli.
Gibson's second personal foul, second of the team. And now, again underneath, Gibson having trouble staying with Piccarelli, and he's called for another foul.
They ran a similar play to get Piccarelli going downhill. Gibson just got tied up with Piccarelli. There's 2 straight calls there. Again, get to the foul line early wouldn't hurt as well.
And finally, Piccarelli loses Gibson, and he lays it in.
3 straight times. I think Gibson was talking to his defender, his teammate, about what to do on that, and missed Piccarelli sliding down the lane. 3rd straight time they ran that play.
So the result there is 3 fouls now on Gibson. Veretto from 3 is no good. Good rebound by Penn. And the bucket, of course, for Piccarelli. It's a 5-point game. Duncan calling the signals with 10 to shoot. Sullivan, quick dump inside for Veretto, and he beats Doles to the spot and lays it in.
This was what happened in the second half of the Maryland game the other night. Defensive interior defense let down, and there was an easy bucket for Vermont. UMBC's got to be stronger, more maybe deny that ball down on the defensive paint.
12 for Veretto, who averages 5 per game. Here's a block and a foul called on Veretto. The shooter is Piccarelli, and he'll go to the line.
And we've talked about this in the past. Piccarelli gets 1 of these a game, if not 2, where he's shooting a 3. And again, I don't think he's kicking out his leg or anything, but he seems to get fouled and gets 3 free throws if he doesn't make the bucket.
Here's the story right now, Rick. Just a minute plus into the second half, Vermont has 4 team fouls. And Cam Gibson has 4 personal fouls. Free throw by Piccarelli.
In a close game, that'll make a difference. If UMBC gets that line, shooting multiple shots early in the second half, that'll make a big difference, certainly in a close game.
And Vermont is tough enough to beat. Of course, they're really tough, and usually they do have the lead. Vermont is a team that is almost unbeatable when they carry the lead throughout the game.
Looking at Coach Becker now, he's talking to the officials. He thinks that Piccarelli kicked his legs out on that 3. It's just part of his shooting motion. He's got a nice clean flow. He does extend the legs a little bit, but it's not to gain the contact. That's his shot.
Gibson sits down with 4 fouls. Deloney checks into the game. I'm sure we'll see him for much of the second half. Picarelli hits all 3. It's a 4-point game. Picarelli now with 10 for the game, 5 of them from the free throw line. Here's Penn working inside on Bunyasith, and that's Dylan Penn's game right around the rim.
Just too easy. We talked about denying the inside post. They made a cut, got an easy bucket. Defensive interior's got to be much better.
Penn now with 6. Bunyasith with a left hand down the lane is good. And now out of bounds here on the near side in front of us.
Greg Boatwan playing again. Great defense, trying to get the crowd into the game with a great deflection out of bounds.
That bucket by Bunyasith was his first points in the game. UMBC now extending their defense past the 3-point line. Sullivan open from 3. This one is too strong. Doles on the rebound for UMBC. Lawrence will pop from 3. This one is short. Duncan on the rebound.
He's guarded by Sullivan. He's their best on-ball defender. Colton Lawrence had very little room to operate, and there's Penn taking the basket. You talked about it. Guy likes to penetrate, score inside the paint. Great finish on the offensive end for Penn.
Look at the English on that finish, right? 6-point lead for the Cats. Penn now heating up. He's got 4 quick ones. He's got 8 for the game. Here's Bunyasith again. Quick first step inside the lane. Here's the dish. The kick out for Boatwan from 3. Leaves it short. Now Deloney into the hands of Sullivan. Penn. And stripped by Picarelli. Out of bounds off Penn.
Yeah, tried that spin move and it kicked off his knee. Good defense by Picarelli. I think UMBC's trying to, move away from the 3 a little bit, see if they can get some dribble penetration, try to finish at the rim. If they do get guys to collapse, then they'll be able to kick and get open 3s because there's too many defenders in the lane. Let's see if we can get one going here.
Deion Brown comes to the scorer's table. He'll check in a moment for the Retrievers. Doles over to Lawrence. Retrievers got to work on their spacing in the corner. Boatwan now 5 to shoot. Bunyasith 2 to shoot. Gives it up underneath. Stolen away by Penn. Deloney penetrates.
Great ball movement by Vermont, but patience. They didn't take a quick shot. Didn't see anything they wanted. They'll reset. They like this matchup with Penn and Picarelli.
Screen from Duncan leaves Deloney open. Bunyasith swoops in for the rebound. Boatwan accelerating, and Boatwan is called for a player control foul, and there will be a timeout on the floor. That's a big turn, and Boatwan will get called for the foul. 15:27 left. Let's watch it here. Sullivan, they say he got position. Boatwan commits. It'll be Vermont basketball when we return.
Is now the leader in career points.
Eleanor Purrier with her first title at the mile distance.
Sorrentine from the parking lot. And the Black Bears upset Stanford. Shock and awe. In college basketball, UMBC makes history.
At Jersey Mike's, they slice your order fresh right in front of you. And let me tell you, watching that can send a rush of emotions through a person. Excitement, impatience, baby-like wonder, indecisive, anticipatory chewing, nerves pacing, happy claps, and finally, jealousy, because that's this guy's sub. I should order one. Good idea.
Sliced right in front of you. The Jersey Mike's thing. A sub above.
Great seats at a great price. Get them safer, simpler, and smarter with Ticket Smarter. A proud partner to the biggest names in live sports and events, including ESPN events and iHeartRadio. Ticket Smarter has seats for over 125,000 live events and 48 million tickets for sale. All backed with the Ticket Smarter 100% ticket guarantee. Thinking about your next great live event? Think smarter. Think Ticket Smarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed, at Ticketsmarter.com.
You know, sometimes, Rick, it's the little things in basketball. In soccer, they would call it a set play. In basketball, it's an inbounds play. Let's take a look a couple minutes back to how UMBC executed.
UMBC runs some great inbounds plays. Well, here's one that I think Gibson, who had called for 3 straight fouls, I guess going into, he has 4 fouls now. Let's take a look at this again. So this was the 3rd time the UMBC ran that. And Gibson was so confused because he got called in 2 previous fouls. He didn't sure what to do. I think he was talking to one of his teammates about where he should stand. And the official handed UMBC the ball, obviously for an easy bucket. Easiest bucket that Piccarelli have all game, because Piccarelli's game typically is from outside the 3, and he's getting no room at all with this tenacious Vermont defense. They're crowding him all over the court.
Piccarelli leads the Retrievers with 10 this afternoon. I guess the 3rd time's the charm on the inbounds play. The junior from Milan, Italy, one of the top 3-point shooters in the country. Piccarelli, 1 of 3 from downtown. He's done most of his work from the charity stripe this afternoon. He's 5 for 5 from the line.
Yeah, both coaches are working the officials right now, trying to get them to reverse some tendencies right now. Obviously, got to like where UMBC is. They just need to get a couple more fouls to get into the bonus.
Only player really in foul trouble right now is Cam Gibson with 4. He's on the bench and will stay there for a while. Team foul situation, Vermont with 4. Retrievers with 2. And here's Dylan Penn inside Brown. And Penn with a steal. And it'll be a foul on Botuan on the way back. Dylan Penn, in the last 2 minutes, has taken over this game.
He absolutely has, and what he did here is take advantage of our freshman from UMBC, Deion Brown. Got beat off the dribble, fell asleep, and you can watch this beautiful cut from Dylan Brown past from Dylan Penn past Deion Brown. That's a tongue twister. And then again, Brown tossing it in. Didn't see Penn curl back for the steal.
Dylan Penn, the transfer from Bellarmine. Here he is again off glass and in, out of foul.
And again, toying with the freshman, Deion Brown. Deion Brown once again. We talked about Penn. He comes from a program where he dominated the ball before. He had the ball in his hands at Bellarmine. And look at this. Just knows what to do with the basketball. He had great contact with Duncan, who slipped it down to him for the finish. Deion Brown trying to figure out what's going on right now with that veteran. We talked to Coach Becker. He said Penn was struggling a little bit, right? He was used to having the ball in his hand at all times at Bellarmine, and this is not what they do here. But tonight, looks like he's engaged.
Despite the miss from Penn on the attempt at the 3-point play, it's the largest lead of the afternoon for the Catamounts. By 10 now with 15:06 left to play. Botuan has 3 personal fouls for UMBC. Brown now with 2. Both teams with 4 team fouls here in the second half. Retrievers have their work cut out for them if they want to get back into this game. Bunyasith on the drive, little kiss off glass, won't go, and up and under from Fagan, and it's an 8-point game.
Deion Brown actually kept that ball alive, so Fagan could pick up the loose end of it.
Here's Bunyasith now on Penn as the Retrievers have made a change. Brown will go with TJ Hurley. Hurley gets a screen from Duncan and launches from the wing.
Hurley can really play. This kid can shoot the ball. He's a very, very aggressive player. Coach Becker wants him to be more engaged when he's on the court because he thinks he's got great potential.
The true freshman from Pelham, Ontario, a 2-time Rookie of the Week in the America East. 11-point game. Piccarelli for 3. It is off to the right, no good. Penn the rebound for Vermont.
That's just not an easy 3 to make. Now, we've seen Piccarelli make those 3s, but that's just not a consistent, easy 3 for him to shoot and finish.
And here Fagan now, right in the lane as Duncan tried a no-look pass. Fagan will slow it down. See if the Retrievers can take advantage of a Catamount turnover. Piccarelli, hand in the face again. This one is way too long. Brown keeps it alive. No new shot clock here. It never touched the rim. Retrievers need to be aware. 7 to shoot. Piccarelli again from downtown, and he's fouled in the act for the second time today.
We say it time and time again. This kid has a knack for that. Coach Becker said, yeah, he keeps doing this, keeps kicking his feet out. That ain't going to happen. He definitely got hit on that. It's definitely a foul. Piccarelli has a knack for that. But again, that is a quick horse kind of three. The last 2-3 shots he's had are that. They're not getting clean looks from this Vermont defense, and it's making it tougher and tougher to finish.
Foul was on Deloney, the free throw by Piccarelli. Teo Piccarelli tied for first in the conference, 2.7 threes per game. He only played 8 minutes a game last year. He's up to 23 this year. Averaged only 2 points a game last year, averaging almost 12 this year.
And Coach Ferry talks about him as being the perfect example, a guy that just stayed after practice, kept shooting, worked hard. Coach Ferry said, I'm not sure this kid could play at this level. But, you know, all he did was continue to prove him wrong, and he came out and has had a fantastic start of the season.
Duncan sits down for Vermont. That's the first miss for Piccarelli from the free throw line this afternoon. He added 7 in a row. Piccarelli with 12. It's a 9-point game. 13:24 left in the second half. Sullivan and Hurley now in the backcourt. Here comes Finn Sullivan. The cutter is Penn, and for the third time, Penn drives it home.
He's finding a weakness in this defense. As soon as our defender's turning his head, he's cutting to the basket and getting easy looks. There's no defense inside the paint for him.
Dylan Penn now with 12, 8 in the second half. Fagan with a spin move, kick out for Lawrence. Corner three from Colton Lawrence, knocks it down.
And that's the cleanest shot he's had all game long. UMBC only shooting 17% from three-point range. This is a team that's one of the best three-point shooters in the country, and finally got one to fall. Maybe that's the start of some special things.
53-45 is the score. It's an 8-point game. And tied up underneath is Ayo Falea, who had just checked in.
Great defense by Fagan coming in with that extra help. Got the tie-up. Possession goes to Vermont.
Iliri Ayo Falea, the transfer from Rhode Island, has seen some time this afternoon. Hurley for a mid-range jumper, no good, and it's going to be out of bounds off Alamutu. And so John Becker goes big lineup here, and it'll be Retriever basketball. 53-45, UMBC trailing by 8 with the basketball. 12:15 left to go. Lawrence, nice move on Sullivan. Lawrence to the basket, too strong. Fagan rips it away underneath and lays it home. Trayvon Fagan.
Fagan would not be denied there. Got down there, got strong with it, took it up and laid it in.
John Becker wants to know what happened on that one to Alamutu. It's a 6-point game.
50-50 ball, second chance points are going to be important in this close game.
Second chance points, 13-2 UMBC so far. Here's Penn. And foot on the line, turnover against Vermont. And a timeout on the floor. Dylan Penn wants to know what happened. Agrees with the referee, Tyler Sandman. We'll be back right after this.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
Bucks, Raptors, and Heat, Lakers. Wednesday on ESPN. Bucks, Raptors, and Heat, Lakers. Wednesday on ESPN.
Quite a basketball game to get the new year underway. Vermont leads UMBC 53-47. 11:27 left. Let's watch Trayvon Fagan underneath.
Love the Colton Lawrence went strong to the basket. Couldn't finish, but Fagan just keep fighting it over the Vermont player and to finish. Fagan's got 7 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds. We talked about second chance points. UMBC leading 13-2 in this category, which is going to be so important down the stretch. 50-50 balls, offensive rebounds. Those are the things that are going to win this game down the stretch for UMBC or Vermont.
Here's Fagan's line, 13 minutes, 10 points, 7 rebounds. He's 5 for 7 from the field, 2 steals, an assist, and a block.
If he doesn't get on those offensive rebounds, because most of those 3 offensive rebounds he has were putbacks, he's just been so strong. You mentioned a beast on the boards earlier. That's exactly what he's been tonight.
Botuan brings it up for UMBC. Retrievers have trailed for the majority of this game by as many as 11 earlier in the second half. 15 to shoot. Here's Bunyasith penetrating on the right side. Duncan on Bunyasith in the corner. That is a tough matchup for Jacob Bunyasith. Leaves it short from 3. Veretto has it almost taken away by Fagan, but into the hands of Hurley.
Again, shot clock was running down. Not a great shot that the UMBC got out of that possession because Vermont's defense has been chest to chest all over the court.
Here's Duncan as Botuan slipped down. Hurley in the corner over Lawrence. Nails it for 3.
We talked about that. Freshman's got key skills, and one of them is shooting from the 3. He's very, very good from the perimeter.
Lawrence all the way to the basket, and a foul called on the journey on Sullivan. That'll be team foul number 5 on Vermont.
So that's a team 6 personal foul, actually, Gary. So I think that certainly next up is going to be important down the stretch. The foul line will be critical in this game, I think.
Retrievers, meanwhile, have committed 4. Lawrence at the line for 2. Colton Lawrence, quite a journey for him, Rick. Missed 2 years of basketball from 2019 to 21. COVID was included in that. Then last year, led Bentley, Division II, to the Elite 8. 16 points per game, now on to the Division I level, playing for Jim Ferry.
I still think he's going to be one of the better players in this conference when it's all said and done. Had a couple of games right now. He's a struggle shooting a little bit. He needs to get going to help this UMBC team.
Lawrence back in double digits now with 10. It's a 7-point game. Up top, Deloney back in the game with Piccarelli. 10 to shoot here for the Catamounts. Dump it inside for Veretto, and on the floor, it'll be Botuan with a hold. Botuan, that'll be personal foul number 4 with 10 minutes to go. And what does Jim Ferry do here?
I think he's going to go get him right now. Deion Brown's going to come in the game for him, I think, for Botuan.
So this is an interesting development here for the Retrievers. That's their leader. That's their point guard. Botuan with 6 assists this afternoon. A couple of steals and a block.
UMBC doing a good job on their leading scorer, Deloney. He's only got 3 points so far in this game. Got to keep him down and keep him out. He can heat up quick.
Corner jumper is short, taken by Hurley. Off the side of the backboard. Here's Lawrence now with a quick first step. Spinning inside the lane, off glass short. Rebound, Brown, and it'll stay with UMBC. Good battle by Deion Brown along with Hurley.
Back to those 50-50 balls. Brown, if he doesn't go after that offensive rebound, it's an easy possession for Vermont. Gives UMBC another possession. Those are the kind of plays, those gutsy, extra effort plays are going to make a difference.
Back to the inbound here. Let's see what the Retrievers draw up. They'll go back outside. Lawrence for three. Straight away, off rim and glass, no good. Brown again fighting for it, but it ends up in the hands of Veretto. Deloney on Fagan underneath. Up top, Veretto straight away. Launches and drills it. His third three-pointer this afternoon, and the lead is back to 10.
That ball got blocked. There should have been a jump ball because he came all the way down to the floor. That should have been a jump ball. Missed call by the official, I think, on that one.
Fagan for three. Oh, that's something you won't see often from Trayvon Fagan. And an official's timeout with 9:04 left to play. What can Trayvon Fagan not do today? Retrievers trail by 7.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
Game summary here between Vermont and UMBC. Leading scorers, Trayvon Fagan off the bench, 13 for the Retrievers. Matt Veretto, 15 for Vermont. The difference is three-point shooting. Let's watch the exchange before the timeout between Fagan and Veretto.
Yeah, well, here's a nice pass out front. I thought that should have been a jump ball. They swing the ball. Veretto's out top for three, his third three of the game. And then, again, one guy that they're probably not going to guard from three-point range is Fagan. He knocks down a big three to keep UMBC in the hunt.
Fagan off the bench, 15 minutes, 13 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. Veretto, 15 points, 3 three-pointers. Veretto averages 5 points per game. He's got 15 here this afternoon.
UMBC open up to a 1-2-2 kind of three-quarter trap. Going to take some time off the clock for Vermont in their offense.
Now Vermont in the half court with Duncan at the controls. Dylan Penn back in the game with Fagan. Penn working a little turnaround. Goes for Dylan Penn, who is absolutely on fire in the second half.
He has found his game here this afternoon.
12 second half points on the way to 16. It's a 9-point game. Fagan thought about it again. Obeng Mensah in the game now. Obeng-Mensah with Duncan off glass, too strong. Kept alive by Obeng-Mensah. It won't go, but Obeng-Mensah will go to the free throw line.
Strong initial move by Obeng-Mensah inside, just couldn't finish, but did attack for the offensive rebound, and the putback just didn't roll in as well. Just a little bad luck there for him, but does get 2 free throws coming up.
Yao Obeng-Mensah, the transfer from Santa Fe College. And if that foul's on Gibson, then it'll be 5 on Cam Gibson. He's fouled out with 8:16 left. Also, Vermont now with 17 fouls. The Retrievers will be in the bonus the rest of the way. So Gibson comes out, and Perry Smith Jr. checks in. Larry Iofalea also in the basketball game. Obeng-Mensah gets the shooter's roll, averaging 7.5 per game. Only saw 1 minute against Maryland. Had a couple of big games back-to-back at Loyola and against Morgan State earlier in the season. Got physical in those games. Leaves the second one short. Fagan battling. And this possession hour will point to UMBC. And again, right in the middle of it is Trayvon Fagan. Big body from the transfer from Buffalo. Went to the NCAAs back in 19 with the Bison. Now Robin Duncan sits down, and Deloney checks back in the game for the Catamounts. Retrievers with another possession here.
I think UMBC has a mismatch with Brown on Deloney. Take advantage of that in the post if they want to go down to him.
Obeng-Mensah now to Brown. 5 to shoot. Obeng-Mensah from 3. This one is going to be well short. Shot clock violation. Regardless, but of course, play on, and it's Vermont basketball. Again, tough defense from the Catamounts. Corner for Penn. And again, foot on the line, out of bounds, a turnover against Dylan Penn. Second time that's happened in the corner.
Yeah, it looks like Deloney's really looking to facilitate. He's really not taking a lot of shots and not looking to first shot, passing on.
8-point game here with 7:32 left to go.
Is now the leader in career points.
Eleanor Purrier with her first title at the mile distance.
Sorrentine from the parking lot. And the Black Bears have upset Stanford. Shock and awe. In college basketball, UMBC makes history.
Food for thought.
It's more than a common phrase.
It's the intellectual nourishment that surrounds us at the University of Vermont.
Those ideas.
That atmosphere, those classes that get us up in the morning.
And keep us up at night. Food for thought connects us to other hungry thinkers. Thinkers who will change your world. Like this one.
Or even this one.
All the food for thought in the world is on the menu at the University of Vermont.
Let's dig in.
Every time you order a hot sub from Jersey Mike's, it's grilled fresh right in front of you. The sizzling, the chopping, the spatula. That's why I bring this. I call it dinner and a show.
Look at that sizzle.
Number 17 for Danny.
Oh, that's mine. Gotta go, Aaron.
Grilled right in front of you. It's a Jersey Mike's thing. A sub above.
These are our people. This is our state. At the University of Maryland Medical System, the health and well-being of Marylanders is our mission, our focus, our purpose, no matter what we face. So we've built a healthcare network for all of Maryland, providing better access to the knowledge sharing of academic medicine, for better research, better treatments, and better outcomes. And that is a better state of care.
It's an 8-point lead for the Catamounts with 7:32 left. You know, John Becker told us during the week that people think that his team is beatable this year. That may be true, beatable, but you got to beat them. So how does UMBC make up an 8-point deficit in the last 7 minutes of the game?
I think they got to look at matchups. And again, we just saw where Deloney, a much shorter player, was on Deion Brown. Deion Brown is a big, strong, physical guy. I'd say get him something in your rotation or offense, but down on the block where he can post up and get some easy basket. It looked like Becker made a good decision. He's put Penn on Deion Brown right now, so that mismatch is gone. And from there, I think it's in just playing great defense, getting one shot on that end, and trying to push the ball still on the offense.
Also, check it out here. Number 3, Craig Beautoin, back in the game with 4 fouls for UMBC. Went out at the 10:06 mark. He's back at 7:32. So Jim Ferry is going to go with his point guard, hopefully, if Beautoin doesn't commit the rest of the way. Intended for Obeng-Mensah inside, and it's picked off by Vermont. Here comes Penn all the way to the basket. It's too strong, and a blocking foul is called on Deion Brown underneath.
That was a fantastic drive by Penn. He's hurt a little bit. Hopefully he gets up and he's okay. But watch him take this thing strong to the basket. Just blew by Fagan and laid it up. Should have finished, but inside was the body of Deion Brown. Kind of lost his concentration on the finish. But again, fantastic, explosive play to the rim.
Dylan Penn, explosive second half in general. 8 of 11 from the field, 16.7 rebounds in 19 minutes. The transfer from Bellarmine had 27 earlier this year at Cal State Fullerton as Jim Ferry mulls his options on the UMBC bench. Referees are taking a look at the last call, the block on Brown.
I assume that Brown was inside the restricted area, which he was.
You know, it's interesting. I guess he was. You know, look, I don't know if this counts or not, but it didn't look like his heels were inside the. If you look at it, he's on his tiptoes, and his heels are not down on the floor. But either way, the foul indeed was on Brown. Now Duncan will check in. Picarelli will check in for UMBC. Obeng-Mensah sits down. And sitting down for Vermont is Veretto as Duncan checks back into the basketball game. Dylan Penn at the free throw line. Played AAU ball with Robin Duncan back in Evansville. That's how they got to know each other, and he hits both free throws here. And again, it's a 10-point lead for the Catamounts. Brown from 3, leaves it short. Deion Brown 1 for 4 from the field this afternoon. Penn on the baseline with Fagan. 7 to shoot here. Penn from 3. Not his game. Offensive rebound, Ayafalea. That's a big offensive rebound for the Catamounts now. Penn again, this time with Lawrence. Sullivan over Fagan for 3. Finn Sullivan with a dagger.
Patience on the Vermont offense, just kind of moving the ball around, trying to find a good shot. Sullivan wide open for a 3 to really extend this lead.
Largest lead of the afternoon for the visitors. Brown from 3 in the corner. It's a 10-point game with 5:45 left.
Big buckets. Time for UMBC to get stops on the defensive end and try to get this ball pushed up the court.
Well, if you're going to get stops, that means you're going to have to stop Dylan Penn. Duncan spin move. Nice give back to Sullivan. He'll step inside now. Here's Penn, and that is a 3-point attempt, I believe. And so Dylan Penn will go to the line.
You gotta love the Vermont patience offense, moving the ball around. Open shots, they passed up on open shots again. They're trying to work this clock and try to get a better shot, and they did on the corner with Penn. Unfortunately, the closeout by Deion Brown was just a little too aggressive. Got the foul.
So Deion Brown now with 4 fouls. That's a testament to the toughness guarding Dylan Penn. Penn, an excellent free throw shooter. Comes in at 86%. What can't he do? And as I say that, a lot of substitutions here for the Retrievers. Dole's back in the game. Bunya checks in. Brown sits down with 4 fouls. Fagan checks out for the Retrievers. Penn for the third of 3. And hits only 1 of 3. It's an 11-point game. Haven't seen Doles in a while for the Retrievers. And here he is now on the baseline. Doles trying to work inside and throws it home over Barreto.
Nice little spin inside, cross the lane, semi-hook to get the defender on his back. But again, we talked about it earlier. Nice little finger soft touch inside.
6 points in 14 minutes for the Albany transfer. It's a 9-point game with 4:48 left. Duncan and Botuan. Duncan spinning inside, too easy over Botuan.
Yeah, he has a tendency to want to back his guys down. There's no resistance whatsoever down there for an easy left-hand lay.
Duncan with 6. He's got 4 rebounds and 7 assists. Back to an 11-point game. Botuan Picarelli, catch and shoot from the corner is no good. Duncan with the rebound. And very smartly will slow it down here with an 11-point lead coming up on the 4-minute mark.
Just feels like Vermont's getting whatever they want. Patience, find the right shot, move the ball around. UMBC seems to be having to force shots to get anything off. A testament to Vermont's defense, not so much for UMBC's defense.
Vermont shooting 55% from the field, and they've held the Retrievers to 37%. From downtown, they've held the Retrievers to 24%. Deloney straight away. Offensive rebound, Penn. And again, they'll take time. The clock is Vermont's ally.
Coach Ferry always preaches, finish the play on the defensive end, which means you got to get that board. You got to secure that rebound.
Stolen away by the Retrievers. Botuan. Up ahead, Picarelli will pop from 3. That is no good. And that's the story of the game right now for UMBC. They are 6 for 26 from deep. Penn and Bunyasith. Duncan, foot on the sideline. And a turnover for the Catamounts. That'll be number 11 against Vermont. Robin Duncan leading the Catamounts this afternoon with an 11-point lead over UMBC.
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
Take a picture.
I'm stuck!
Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids. Drive. It's what propels the champions, the comeback kids.
The game has never been better.
You gotta be kidding me!
Vermont on top of UMBC with 3:05 left. 69-58 is the score. This is the conference opener for both teams. Let's take a look at the road ahead. First for UMBC. back here at home on Thursday night against UAlbany. Back out on the road at Bryant. They'll take on the Bulldogs for the first time in America East Conference play. Maine, Hartford, and at UMass Lowell round out the next 5 for UMBC. Meanwhile, for Vermont, they go to Bryant Thursday night, an ESPNU game, back on the road against UNH and UMass Lowell. And home to conclude January, Maine and NJIT will visit the Patrick Gymnasium up in Burlington. Meanwhile, here at the Peak, the Retrievers trailing by 11, 69-58. It's been all Dylan Penn in the second half. There he is, the transfer from Bellarmine, with 15 second-half points to really make the difference in this game right now.
Yeah, he's been the impact player. Again, a lot of it is his abilities and skill set, fantastic. But also, I don't think the defense on the UMBC end has been subpar actually, and not what Coach Ferry would want.
Retrievers with 2:54 left. Here's Beautoin playing with 4 fouls. Doles to the basket, now spinning, off-balance jumper, won't go. And fighting for the rebound is Lawrence, but it's pulled down by Io Falea, and a foul called on Colton Lawrence.
Yeah, Colton Lawrence went in there for an offensive rebound to see if he could get a part of that, and I think that was a frustration foul there for a lot of things. The score, kind of his shooting today, but not being able to finish as well as he'd like. Again, kind of a frustration foul there for him.
And that'll send the Rhode Island transfer to the free throw line. He's a good free throw shooter, 4 for 4 today. Was 8 for 11 coming in. Second of 2 here for Io Falea with 2:42 left. 6 of 6 from the free throw line for the big guy, and that's where all his points have come from. Back to a 13-point lead, tied for the highest for Vermont today. Lawrence will pop from 3. Rim and glass, no good. Rebound Penn with 2:20 left, and I think the Catamounts can feel it right now, Rick.
Yeah, again, just slow it down, use some of this clock, get a good shot, which is what they've been doing for the last 4 minutes or so of this game.
It was a 5-point game at the half. The Retrievers, though, 3-pointer here from Sullivan, and that could be the cherry on top. 16-point lead for Vermont with less than 2 to go. Retrievers were never really able to get back in it below 6 points here in the second half. As Bunyasith hits a 3, we'll keep it here.
Yeah, we talked about what they needed to do. They needed to kind of get strong on the defensive end, not allow them to score so they could push the ball and get some easy shots. Unfortunately, Vermont continues to make baskets. Talked about Penn having a great second half, really finishing strong. Again, guy's a great player. He comes in from Bellarmine with a great reputation, skilled offensive player. He proved it in the second half. On the defensive end, not so much for UMBC. The effort's always there with UMBC. You're never going to doubt them for effort, but just some of the decisions made on the defense, some of the lapses have really hurt them in the second half.
After a quick start in the second half by Vermont, the Retrievers got to within 53-47 at the 11:27 mark, but have not been able to get closer since, and right now they lead it by 13. That 3-pointer by Bunyasith was his first 3-pointer of the game. He's got 5 points this afternoon.
And for this UMBC team that relies so much on a 3-point shot, to go 7 for 28 in the game is just not going to be good results for him, I don't think.
25% from deep. Now here's pressure from the Retrievers. Broken fairly easily by the Catamounts. Cam Gibson is fouled out in this game. Beautoin playing with 4. Dion Brown playing with 4, although he's not on the floor right now. Less than 10 on the shot clock for Vermont. Just don't think there are really enough possessions left in the game. Well, it's going to be a shot clock violation, as Io Falea could not get it up off the floor and back up.
I think at this stage of the game, Vermont's happy to use all 30 seconds of the possession to get this clock down.
Botuan into the front court. Piccarelli with a hand in his face. Make it 7 for 29 for UMBC. Duncan back on the floor for Vermont. 45 to play here. So the Catamounts will go to 7-8 on the campaign. More importantly, 1-0 in the conference. This one left short by Duncan in the corner. Meanwhile, the Retrievers will lose their second in a row. They'll go to 9-6, 0-1 in the conference. 33-point attempts out of 62 field goal attempts for UMBC this afternoon.
It's got to be disappointing for Coach Ferry and this team. I know they had high hopes for this game. This was a big game, kind of a test to see where you are in the conference, certainly against the preseason favorite. Certainly didn't show well on this one, but they'll be back. They're a really good team. They shoot the ball a lot better than they did today, obviously. They've got a long way to go in this season, and they know it.
Retrievers will allow it. You see John Becker on the far sideline, and the rest of the Vermont bench standing, applauding their team. And why not? The defending America East Conference champions. They've won 6 in a row in the America East, and they're not going to go away. They're certainly not going to go away easily, and they didn't today. Becker and Ferry, good friends, exchanging handshakes and some encouragement on the sideline as this one ends.
Yeah, you can see Coach Ferry kind of nodding his head. I'm sure